What's up everyone, Dan here, Crypto Capital Venture. We're going to do a technical analysis for January 22nd, 2018. It's the second of the day because things are getting crazy. This is going to be kind of more of a broad technical analysis because I think it's very important. I feel like I might get some dislikes for this video because it's not as bullish, it's not as amazing, it's not as hype worthy as most would want, including myself, because I love the hype, don't get me wrong. But I think it's very important to be realistic in trading. It's extremely important to be realistic in investing. So I'm going to do the video. I'm going to put it out there. Really, I mean, the basis, the foundation, the bedrock of technical analysis is trends. It's patterns. It's long-term trend lines. And that's why every time you see technical analysis, whether on my videos or other videos, you see lines all over the place. But that's because typically, stocks, cryptos, they trade in trends. They follow trends. I mean, look at Bitcoin. This is kind of more of a long-term chart, and goes back to, I mean, this is 2013. But look how smooth it looks. Look how slow moving it looks. And it's actually pretty crazy to look at because on a day-to-day basis, we feel like we're in chaos. The trading feels like it's up and down so much, which it kind of is. But if you zoom out and you look at it, it's just like this smooth, like look at this smooth like U pattern. And that's a trend. So that's why, technical analysis is built on those things. And that's why you see lines kind of going. And those lines really indicate the supports and the resistance of those trends. So on my chart here, I have some of those support and resistance lines long term. And I also have it for Litecoin. And those are just some things I want to look at. And if we're being realistic, and I think it's a very good thing to be realistic because not only is it safe, but it actually is, it's more of an optimistic point of view as well. And it might not seem like it or sound like it, but it is. So let's look at Bitcoin. Right now on my screen, I have Bitcoin. We can go all the way back to 2013 and we have this high point touching at like the 1200 area. And over the course of, a year or a year and a half or so, we went from $1,200 to $160. Now, could you imagine if, for context, I was making this video at $1,200 and I was saying, we might be pulling back to $100 to $200. People would be freaking out. But in reality, that's what happened. And it's what always can happen is that pullback, is that leveling out of the long-term trend so that we can see that continued growth. So I think it's so important to look at that and, just have a nice, realistic outlook on the market, because otherwise you're just going to get stuck and you're going to get caught in that hype that will lose you money. It's lost me money before, I can tell you that much. So with that being said, let's just look at the trend lines. Let's look at what's actually happening and see what are the worst case scenarios, what are the best case scenarios, and go from there, because that's where the money's made. So with that being said, we traded down, Bitcoin traded down, everybody knows, and then we traded back up. We hit 20,000, quite recently, and now here we are, and we feel like we're tanking. We're at like, we're touching 9,500, we touched 9,000 or so last week. Things are getting scary, things are getting crazy. Litecoin, same thing. I mean, you look at Litecoin, we're at $1 not that long ago, 2015, $1.40, what is that, May 2015. We ran up to around 8 something in July of 2015, and then we really traded flat at like a few bucks. And then we all know what happens. We all know what happens then in 2017. It's been a crazy year for Litecoin, which is awesome. And I'm not saying we're ever going to revisit those prices. However, let's look at the trend lines. So let's actually focus on Litecoin. I really, for major support, major support, I usually always like to check out the mid-range support lines, the mid-range trend lines. And we really have a nice mid-range trend line here. This isn't to say that we're going to revisit and, you know, test $70 in the next week. However, this trend line, I really feel like if you look at how it leads into this new channel that I honestly feel like we're forming right above $100, it's something to look at. But I want you to realize if we did trade within this new channel of $100 low as support, just keep in mind the top of this channel, we're sitting at like 350. So that's not a bad thing. And the other thing is, let's go to Bitcoin and let's look at the bottom mid-range trend line on Bitcoin. Assuming, as we did last time, we bounced off this mid-range trend line on Bitcoin last time, and we made, let's see, let's get my price range. We bounced off of that support line. You know, there's 330% gain, and in the long run, we're talking, I mean, it's just ridiculous. 1,000% gain since, I mean, 1,000% might be exaggerating, but just under 1,000% since July. So bouncing off of this mid-range trend line is not the end of the world. It's a healthy sign of consolidation. And I know everybody, including myself, we want it to just, you know, trade to $300+ create a new channel, create a new trend line above $300 would be a beautiful thing. But at the end of the day, if we're being realistic about things, it's not a bad thing if Bitcoin settles down in the 9,000, 10,000, 11,000 channel and consolidates for its next run. It's not the end of the world. Same thing with Litecoin. You know, if we start trending and trading in the $100 to $150 range, it's not the end of the world, because we have this top trend line hitting 350, and in this channel, the top of that channel is, you know, is the 350 area. So let's consolidate. And this isn't my prediction of what's going to happen. This is like my, I don't want to say worst case scenario, but if we really are taking a solid consolidation and a solid correction right now, I really do see our support at the $100 range. I think we'll bounce off of that. I think we'll trade above that. I think we'll consolidate above that. I'm not saying we're gonna consolidate like at $100 and kind of trade sideways for a while, but I think it's just a healthy range. And that's not to say if you follow these trend lines, this is the end of 2018 right here. We have 120 on the bottom, and we have, we're at the $700 to $800 on the top. So this isn't to say we can't be trading at $500 plus by the end of the year. This is just a healthy, realistic look on the market, because I know everybody wants to be trading at $1,000 Litecoin by July, but it takes an extreme amount of conservatism, an extreme amount of just realism to kind of trade carefully and trade conservatively to, realize what's realistic and what's not. So I'm not saying that we won't trade at $1,000 by the end of the year, but it's way less realistic than trading at $500 by the end of the year. So if we hit 500, be grateful, be happy. I will be. And if we hit 1,000, let's just ride it to the moon and have fun with it. But I think it's important to look at channels. I think it's important to look at trend lines, because if you don't, you're gonna lose money. I've done it in the past. I know I might get dislikes for this video because I'm just not like over the board bullish and just, $2,000 by the end of the year. But this is my style. Take it or leave it. So with that being said, we could get news. We could be at $500 by the end of February. And boom, we're all making a lot of money. So I just, you know, at the end of the day, we don't know, but this is just my realistic approach. Look at the lines, look at the trend lines. That's what technical analysis is built on. It's the foundation. And if you start getting outside of that, right? If you start having your hopes outside of that to crazy levels, it's just emotional. And I think it's important to pull it back in, especially after the December that we had. It was pretty crazy. It was exciting. It was awesome. And it was important because having that high, we came back a little bit, which is important. And let's just get ready. Let's consolidate. If it's 100, 150, 180, whatever it is, let's consolidate. Let's get ready for that next run to 500 plus. Listen, Litecoin to the moon all the way. I'm all about it. But let's let it happen, you know, in a healthy manner. So with that being said, those are my thoughts. Again, take it or leave it. It's my opinion. It's not financial advice. But I'm long-term bullish on Litecoin. I love it. Can't wait to see what happens in 2018. I hope that this channel that I have here is proven wrong. Trust me, I'll be the first to do a video and say I was wrong. But these are just my thoughts. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you. Have an awesome day, and God bless.